this a video?
Yeah, and then smile. And then shake it a little more.
Surprise, surprise.
Should have did it for the back because the back always looks good.
That's what she said. Ooh.
What's up, y'all? It's Ashley.
I'm Fee.
It's Melanie.
And Codie here. And you've tapped into
The Mama's Den.
Okay, wait. You're sitting in my homie seat.
I am. Because our girl is booked
And
busy.
Yes, she's in school, which is amazing, and we're super proud of her. She shared on Instagram too that she's going back to school, and this is really dope. So I'm proud of her. I know it's overwhelming being a single mama of two and going back to school. Because I remember when I went back to school with one child, and I was fighting for my life. So that is a lot.
We are speaking about our sister friend, Felicia.
Yes.
Latour. And I think even just like her sharing that information with us, we all had this moment of like, wow, like, things are changing, schedule's changing. But I'm so immensely proud of her because what it takes to pursue a new passion, to pivot the direction of where you thought your life was versus where you want to go, to think about your future self, furthering your education, taking up a new hobby, taking on new roles and responsibilities, like as an adult, as a woman, as a mother, it takes a lot of courage and bravery to do that because some people, we talk about it like we get paralyzed in the routine of what we know and what's comfortable. So it takes guts to make yourself do something new and get uncomfortable. I'm so proud of her. We're so proud of you, Fee.
Okay, but you have
Codie.
to cackle with me if you're going to sit there. This is where we do side commentary.
You know that
and
Codie is
cackling.
not about the cackle.
side commentary.
Side commentary and cackling is over here.
Y'all just gonna leave me over
I
here
look forward to more cackling, less trolling. What?
What you call trolling, I call love language.
I know, and I love you. And you know what? That brings us to today.
Oh, yes.
Right, because we are kind of like sharing that we did a survey, right? So y'all filled out a survey that we sent out early this year, telling us like who y'all are, our audience. That is the y'all. Those of you listening, watching. How old are your kids? How old are y'all? What y'all do for a living? Income status. We like to know the facts about you.
Did I really ask about income
It
status?
was in there, yeah, because advertisers be wanting to know things like that. So we're like, who are our audience?
Oh, interesting.
So you
are
can
they
know what
into?
you're like, if sharing about, like, if our audience, we don't want to be like, you know what I'm saying?
Girl, why did I think they were asking about our income status? That's why I was like, wait a second, that's very, very personal.
Our
We don't know
audience
your income.
shared
How we
with
gonna
us.
find that out?
Yeah, they shared with us.
$0 for mine.
Because we want to know more about who they are. And they did so anonymously. So we don't know, who is it that makes over $1 million? But we know that a few of y'all do.
Oh.
I do. I've got some investments for you to make. Fine, holler at me.
But in doing that, we also asked like what they like about the show, what they would change about the show. And one of the things that we heard that I thought was really interesting is that they want more of us and like our stories and details about us.
Yeah.
I think in the last year or so we've had more guests on, so we're talking a lot about them, or we're sharing like tidbits on a topic. But let's talk a little bit about us today.
You know what else they said?
What?
Almost everybody. They want our episodes longer.
I saw that.
A lot.
I saw that.
That was like the number one thing. Y'all just glazed on over that.
I wouldn't glaze over it. I
You
think there was a
did.
mix. There was
Like
a
a
mix.
donut.
There was some
I
longer.
said, oh, Hannah, you want to bring
Y'all
up
want to do
longer
longer episodes? We have a mix of like 35-minute to like 55-minute episodes.
What is did anyone express the ideal time they wanted it to be?
No, everybody just said longer.
Longer.
But you know what, though? I think when I probably know what it is. Like when we have a really good guest and it's a good conversation, or when we are like in a really good topic that I feel like are popular topics, like when we're talking about our marriages, those types of things, or just our experiences as mothers, I think sometimes it does get cut off because we're like, okay, that's a wrap.
Yeah.
I think probably those episodes, maybe we can do something special and have them be a little longer because when the guests are here and there's a good little convo, I hate when we have to like wrap it up.
And
I
all
agree.
the guests are like, wait, it's over?
Yeah,
Yes.
everyone says
Wait,
that.
the guests come in with a heart out.
I know.
And
Now
then they
that's-
sit down and say, it's over?
Yeah.
We're like, you can stay.
The team at the door like,
I know.
go to the next one.
Yeah. So y'all, it's not always us. We're doing our best to kind of like share who we are, but we decided that, now's a good time to sort of reintroduce ourselves.
I think what we should do today is we should interview one another.
Wait, she whispering over here. Wait, I'm
There
supposed
she
to-
goes.
I'm
She's
supposed to
bringing you-
participate.
She's bringing you into the world of cackling.
Let me reintroduce myself. My name is Tobe.
Oh,
Hey,
H to the Ashley.
Oh, that was
That was
cute.
good. That was good.
Okay. Sorry, go ahead.
That makes
Ashley.
sense, I think.
So yeah, I think we should interview each other because I think it's also really hard to talk about yourself. So I'm Melanie and this is
Yeah.
So I think we should introduce ourselves.
Yes.
Hi, I'm Melanie Fiona. And yes, I am the Melanie Fiona.
Yes.
And the reason why I say this is because there's so many people, as I've been doing press and shows and been out promoting my music, there's so many people like, I had no idea that Melanie Fiona was the Melanie from the Mama's Den.
Yeah.
So
I see the
weird.
comments
Which
too.
I think is a really interesting point to why we're doing this episode. It's about reintroducing ourselves. So I am Melanie Fiona. I am a singer-songwriter, a motherhood advocate. I am a podcast host. I am a mom and a wife. I'm a mom to 2 children, Cameron, 9, and Kaya, 3. I'm a Cancer. My favorite color is purple, although I don't wear it much. And I'm born and raised in Toronto, Canada.
And how long have you been married?
I've been married officially for 5 years.
How long have y'all been together?
It'll be 5 years this December. And we've been together for 12 years total.
Love.
Yeah. And
See more of their story on Black Love Dog.
see more of our
Season
story
6.
on Lamp Love. My husband is also in the music industry.
Yes.
He's
Yeah,
an
he
executive. Yes, he is in the music
Yes.
industry. He is a manager and an executive, or he is a managing partner and an executive at a media company, and he manages artists. He's also a former songwriter.
Yeah, he is.
He's also a Gemini, so he does a lot of things.
But he sings too, didn't he?
He used to sing. Yes, in
Did
his-
my friend have a stint on American Idol?
he sure did in his youth, in his early 20s. Yeah, representing for New York. It's so interesting. Yes, he's lived many, many lives, and I'm glad that the one that he lived when we found each other has led us here. So we're here. So that's me,
This is cute. I like
Codie
this.
Lynn. That's not really your name, but Codie.
Oh, that's her name.
Yeah, for sure. I've been called that my whole life. Okay, so I'm Codie Lane Oliver. Let's see. I have 3 children. Don't play me. Edit it out.
No.
I have
that's
3
gotta stay.
children who I love dearly, all of them. I have Brooks, who is 8 years old. And I have twins, Aristotle and Langston. Fun fact, I do not have twins in my family. I was completely shocked to have twins, to be pregnant with twins. I always wanted twins, but I thought that was a silly thing that would never happen to me. And then it happened. They're 6. I don't know if I said that. Aristotle and Langston. I am a filmmaker, storyteller, podcast host, and I co-created, and produced and directed the Black Love docuseries, and then the film The Perfect Find with my husband, which was on Netflix. It's a rom-com, and a couple other indie films. Yay. I'm a graduate of Howard University.
know?
Okay, 4th generation. Also USC, got to throw that in there because I do love my USC, but I am a Howard girl through and through, as y'all know. My favorite color is yellow.
I did not know that.
Really?
No.
What
But
would
that makes sense.
What would you? Okay, yeah,
Pink.
I would think so.
I would think pink.
Yeah.
That's like second.
Okay.
But yellow is just, it makes me so happy.
So, not to cut you off, Cameron, my son, his favorite color is yellow, always has been his whole life.
Yeah.
Psychologically, people who love the color yellow tend to be very happy, positive outlook people. So this also, it was.
Okay, that tracks.
This is actually behind the science of McDonald's marketing and why they chose yellow.
I hate the color yellow.
Wow.
What does that say?
Enrages me.
Enrages?
Yeah, like we used to have a yellow wall in our house, and Amira didn't like it either. She would literally, I'm not lying to you, she would cry every time when she was a newborn baby. Every time I would take her into that room, and I asked the pediatrician, he was like, "You have to paint your wall." I painted it
yeah, you
green,
told-
and she stopped crying. I don't know. I'm sorry. Well, maybe we're not happy people.
Well,
I mean,
interesting.
you have referenced Daria and Wednesday Adams as
I
parts of your
know.
personality and your daughter, so
Yeah,
you
that
know.
part.
That's funny.
Okay, did I leave you? I'm a Scorpio.
Scorpio.
Oh, and married to Tommy Oliver.
Okay.
Filmmaker.
Producer, director, photographer, cinematographer. I'm probably techie.
He's a nerd.
Nerdy.
Smart.
Sarcast supreme.
Yes.
All of that. Dad jokes are his life.
He's a
his
chef?
love language. He's
Oh,
a
yes.
chef. He is the chef. I do not cook.
No, you
I actually said the other day, like, oh, he's the orderer because he orders food very well.
Oh,
and they were
that's
like, oh,
nice.
my husband's a chef. I was like, actually, he's that as well.
Ooh, girl,
love that
got
for
the
you.
good one,
So
honey.
yes, the food is on Tommy for sure.
Shout out to Tommy for putting me on to my first caviar bump.
Oh, same.
How risque.
Was that at my birthday?
It was at your birthday.
Same.
Never had a bump of anything. Caviar. Be my
It's
first.
like the bougiest, ratchetest thing.
I love it.
I think I've seen
love
that
it.
on Instagram
With a potato
lately.
chip.
With a
Yes.
potato chip.
Yes. They all love some caviar, honey.
We've been married for 10 years, and we make things together. The end.
Children included.
Yes, children included.
I love that. Wait, did you forget anything? Did you
don't
say
know.
where you were from?
Oh, I'm from Fort Worth, Texas. I'm a proud Texan because Texas is like a unique place, but Texas is also a dark place these days. So I have, I'm still like a proud Texan, but I really tapped into my Canadian roots.
Yes. Wait till she says the word about.
Yes, my
Listen
Canadian
for it.
roots, which don't exist except for the fact that I pronounce about and out and house.
And me, your roots
Yes.
come this way on the couch.
And you believe in free healthcare.
And I do believe in free
Then
healthcare.
everybody should be Canadian.
Yes, I
Because
believe
I
it.
hope we all do. Okay.
All right, what you
don't.
got?
Okay, so
Ashley.
My name is Ashley Sarah Nicole Chia
Banks.
Oh, I thought Nicole was before Sarah.
No, it's Sarah
Ashley,
Nicole.
Sarah, Nicole.
Yeah, it used to be Hinton. I'm actually a Hinton, and then I got married to Brian Lee Chia. Brian Lee, Ashley, get it? We're so cute. Okay, I know.
And all your daughters.
Sorry, they have Lee in there
Let's
because it's
go.
like
Let's
a
get the
homage to both
names.
of us. Okay, so there's Amira Lee, and she's 16. Azara Lee, she is, oh my God, how old is my child?
8.
8.
She's gonna be
Lord.
9.
She'll be 9. Asia Lee, she's basically 7. She'll be 7 next week. And Atalia Lee, she's 3. And each of my children I have a water sign, air sign, fire sign, earth sign. So I'm a witch. And I'm a Capricorn, and my husband is an air sign. He's a Libra. And we have been together for 17 years. 17 years. And it'll be our 10-year wedding anniversary in October. And I'm from Columbus, Ohio. Okay. It's same thing as Texas. Love it. But, it's dark there as well.
Right.
What else? Oh, I was a professional ballet dancer. I taught dance in New York and Brooklyn at PS 92. And then I got pregnant. And then I made a children's book. So I'm also a writer. And my goal is to one day write a television show and a movie and continue to write children's books. What else do? I homeschool my children.
Let's not forget the Forever Journal.
Yes, I have a
Oh,
Forever
yes,
journal
it's
that's
so
out, and you
good.
can get it everywhere. It's a really beautiful journal where you can tell your story as a parent or the guardian of whomever you raised. I don't know. I don't know what else to share.
She is noise sensitive.
I'm so
To people
no,
chewing.
I have sensory issues, okay? I don't like the sound of people chewing, breathing,
Laughing.
existing. No, I love laughter. I love the sound of laughter.
Oh, you love laughter?
I love the sound of laughter. My favorite colors are black, gray, pink, and green. And I wear all of them except for pink. I think that pink should be an accessory, not something that, except for only Codie should wear, but not me.
Thank you.
Just one of my nails and maybe a piece of jewelry, but not on my clothes. Like my check on my socks. See?
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I almost wore high socks, not with these shoes, but I almost wore high socks today, and I'm just not ready to be that much Ashley.
But I actually think that
This is me.
Yes, and it looks
But
cute.
I almost wore
this-
my cream colored Jordans and my high socks, and then I stopped.
But with this shoe and this outfit, this is giving summer cute vibes. It goes.
Thank
I
you.
love that for you. Let me talk about my husband. My husband works in insurance, but he also is I don't know how to explain it. He and I have a creative agency, which is really dope. So we get to work with really good companies and do a lot of production and create really fun events. And then he also helps people build things. He's like Bob the Builder. So yeah, he helps people.
Like a contractor.
Yeah, he is a contractor-ish. Yes, he's the people who manage contractors, if that makes sense. And so I'm really proud of him because it's literally helping someone build their house and their store. And now somebody is opening 2 new stores and he's helping build those. So I'm really proud of him because he does all of that and he still makes breakfast every morning. And he's a great dad.
He's a good man.
He is a really
is.
great man. I love him so, so much. He's my best friend. I really just love him.
touching.
Okay, so definitely want to get into the podcast and how we all got together, but I also want to take it back,
Yeah.
right? So because sometimes our journeys or where we are now can sometimes look oh, you guys are just so fabulous, and we want to be, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
we are living our dreams in a lot of ways, but we all have our journeys.
Yeah.
And so you mentioned being a professional ballerina and then getting pregnant.
Yeah.
Which all of that is beautiful, but you were also kind of oh shoot, I got to give up my ballerina dreams right now.
Yeah.
So can we talk a little bit? Can we start there with where did dance start for you, and then that transition to, and then I met this man.
I mean, for me though, so dance started for me when I was really little. I've been dancing since I was 2. I actually started dancing in an African dance company. My brothers drummed my older brother drummed, me and my sister danced, and when my little brother came along, he actually drummed and danced. He's an amazing dancer, actually. And so that's kind of what it was. I lived in the hood. I don't know how everybody don't know that, but I grew up in the hood on the south side on Livingston and Wilson. And if you grew up on the south side, you lived in the hood. And dance was just a great way for us to like be safe also, like in the inner city, like being in a sport or an activity, it kept you from like being in the street. So my mom had us in everything that we could be in. And so it was one of those things that I just fell in love with. And I always did community classes, and we couldn't really afford like professional classes until like we could get scholarships and stuff like that. So that's why I'm always like, I always want to go back and like open stuff in the inner city. Like community classes save lives, and that money that goes to those like what are they called? Because my brain centers, what are they called? Rec centers. That's where we did all our sports at the recs because it's free. So Parks and Recs, shout out to Parks and Recs. But yeah, that's how it was. And so then that got me, my sister passed away when I was 22. She was 24. So I moved to New York. And like the last thing she told me before she passed away was like, I really want you to move to New York and follow your dreams of like dancing and journalism. So I moved to New York, and I was teaching dance, and I loved it. And I had this big audition for Alvin Ailey, and literally like the week that I was supposed to go to the audition, I found out I was pregnant. And I could have went to the audition, but I think I just knew. Yeah. I just knew like I'm going to have this baby.
But had you gotten the part with an audition, right, it would have changed your trajectory of being able to dance.
Or could have.
Or you never know. Like I think that I didn't go to the audition because I knew I didn't even want to make myself have to really decide between the two. So I just made the decision for myself, because I feel like if I would have got that, I would have probably not had a child. So, you know what I mean? And I didn't even want to go through that. So I just, like, even we went to the abortion clinic because, to entertain the idea, because Chia's, never mind, we not gonna tell that story, but if I get a TV show, you'll see it in there. Yeah, I went to entertain it, but I still knew I was never going to do it. But yeah, I think that was just something that like, it was my whole life, my whole identity. So it was really, and then when I moved back to Columbus, I actually still took dance classes. So I still was dancing. I danced before I moved back to Ohio. I moved back when I was like 6-7 months pregnant. So I still like had to fulfill my contract of teaching. So I still was dancing until I was like 6 months pregnant. When I had Amira, I went back to Ballet Met, which was in Columbus, Ohio, and I was dancing until I was about 27 years old. So it was like something I didn't just quickly give up. Yeah. But I also realized that there was no way that I was going to really have a career doing that, like living in Ohio. So I pivoted to writing, which was always one of my first loves anyways.
Okay, but I have a question because I think it's interesting. How old were you when you got pregnant?
Okay, so I used to say that I was a teen mom, and I really thought that I was like 17, but I was 24.
But you were the first in your friend group.
Yes, so I was the first in my friend group to get pregnant, except for my friend Tiffany, but we were living on different sides of the country.
Wait, how? And they're like a month apart?
No, girl, they're 5 days apart. But she was in Ohio.
But you were in New York
and
at
I was
the
in
time.
New York.
Got it.
Yeah.
Oh, Tiffany was on the Mama's Den also. It's one of the high-rated episodes. So go check Tiffany out.
Tiffany Overson, one of my besties. But yeah, we got pregnant. I literally called her to tell her I was pregnant. She was like, so am I. And I was like, when are you due? And we were literally due like 5 days apart. So yeah, it was beautiful. And then my mom she worked at a hospital, and she retired basically to open up a school again to teach my daughter, her daughter, and one of my friend Passion's son, Miles, and our kids like just grew up together, and some kids in the community. She just like reopened a school for all of us, which was really amazing.
Okay, so wait, I need to go back.
Okay, sorry.
When you got pregnant, and I think that this is important for people to understand because this is a podcast about motherhood, is what was your feeling to know that it was your time to enter into motherhood? Like, how did you know? And at 24, obviously you said like you were in the height of pursuing your personal dreams. So what was that thing that was like, okay, this is where I'm shifting. This is now going to become my new role and identity.
And you were with someone for a few months.
Right.
You were with Chia.
Yeah.
for a few months.
Like a month, yeah.
Okay.
But I did know him for 4 years prior to that. We were really good friends and in one another's lives like deeply. So it's not like he was a complete stranger that I slept with. But I think it was two things. Number one, I have only been in 2 relationships. My past relationship, I was in that for 7 years. And to just be candid, because I think it's important, like we were having sex the whole time we were together, and it was unprotected, and he was rat-ta-ta-ta in the club. So I never got pregnant. And the doctor told me I was never going to have children. And I mean, that was proven for 7 years straight. Like, I was with a lot of sex and a lot of no pregnancy scares. That thing was on time every single month. So when the doctor was like, you're never going to get pregnant, you have endometriosis, mind you, they diagnosed me that without doing an exam. So there's that. And luckily they were like, there's medication for it. And I was like, I'm not taking that. And I don't know, something in my heart knew that I just never believed the doctor. I was like, I'm going to have a baby one day, But I was not having a baby with him. And it was not meant to be, child, because as soon as we broke up, he got somebody else pregnant. Actually, we were together, but it's fine. I let that go. And I ended up getting pregnant shortly after that as well. So we were never meant to have a baby together. That's how I feel. But I think because that happened, we broke up. He got someone else pregnant. Then my sister died. It all happened within the same 2 months type of thing. When I found out that I was pregnant, I was just like, I'm having this baby. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, this is meant to be. Like, I just knew it was a girl. I knew I was supposed to be a mom. So I think it was more of a spiritual thing for me of like, when you're in a situation where someone tells you can never have something and you enter a new situation and it happens almost immediately. For me and my spiritual beliefs, I was like, oh, this baby is meant to be here.
Right.
Like, this is a gift. And I couldn't really see it as anything else. So it was like a no-brainer for me. Obviously it was scary and I was nervous, but I never I never thought that I was not going to have the baby, if that makes sense. And it was still hard. It wasn't like, I was still like, damn, I had to restart my whole life again. Because mind you, when I moved to New York, that was me still restarting my life.
Yeah. After your sister passed.
Not even that. No, when I was in college, I got sick. I got diagnosed with Crohn's disease. I had to leave. And then I had to go to community college. And then I was going to community college and I had an insurance license and I was working in insurance and being an insurance agent. And I had like a whole career. And then that was what my life was. And then when my sister died, it was like, I need to follow my dream and really like take dance serious and take my writing serious. So that was probably like my third life when I lived in New York. And this was like creating a fourth life. Now I'm on like my fifth or sixth life. Do you know what I mean? But I have lived many lives, honey, and I have restarted so many times because even being married and having children now, like you still have to pivot because it's another kid in the house. Like, how does my life look now? How am I living and creating? I'm still trying to figure that out right now, having 4 children and like, when can I have time to write and focus on myself? So I don't know, child, like to answer your question, I felt like it was a divine blessing, but for a lot of people, I hope they understand that, like, for me, I don't feel like there's a finality of your life. Like, you're always constantly growing and recreating yourself. Do you know what I mean? Because something's always happening. What about y'all? Like, where were you in your life when you felt like, when you became a mom? Either of you. Codie? Melanie?
I always wanted to be a mom. And so I had like always researched. Like I used to watch.
Codie is the researcher. If you're just tuning in for the first time,
I used to watch people like in the mall with their kids. Like, oh, he yelling at her. What's she gonna do? Like, I literally was
taking
like,
notes.
how do you know
so
for real?
crazy.
Like, oh, okay, so they do that sometimes. Okay, then she didn't hit him, but she, like I'm like. I wanted to know everything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? What is this thing like? And down to like once I was pregnant, I'm watching birthing videos. Like I want to see it all. But I always wanted to be a mom. That I knew, period, point blank. And so when I got pregnant in 2016, top of 2016, Brooks was born in October 2016. Tommy and I had been married about a year at that point. Oh, less than that, but close. And I had stopped birth control. Like it was intentional. Didn't think it would happen so quickly. I had a lot of fear around getting pregnant. I was just very worried that like it would take a long time or would it happen. I was open to whatever because I knew what my goal was. But I was like, hey, like I want to stop taking birth control. Like, and he was like, can we wait a little bit? I was like, no, I don't know how long this is gonna take.
Wait, how old were you?
I was, oh Lord, Brooks just told me the other day how old I was. I think I was 32 while pregnant.
Okay. Then
I had him and turned 33 like immediately. So that's why I always forget because my kids are born within a couple weeks of me. So I think I was 32. And so once I got pregnant, I was like elated, just so happy. But also, as y'all know, I come from a family of doctors. And when I got pregnant in California, none of them were here.
Yeah.
Whereas like a year prior, my uncle was most definitely here and could have just been like, hey, everybody take care of her. But they had moved. And so I felt very, and my dad being a doctor and not being like present in my life because he had passed, it was just like a interesting time of how am I going to make sure I feel comfortable in this process. Yeah. So that was where fear came in or anxiety came in. But again, I'm the researcher. So I'm doing the pregnancy yoga and meeting the yoga instructor who's a doula.
Hypnotherapy.
All the things for sure. So it was absolutely exciting and I was very happy. But also, I don't know if I ever told y'all this, when we got pregnant, after being married a year, being independent filmmakers, I didn't have health insurance.
Oh.
I only got health insurance because I was pregnant.
I didn't have anyone that had a mirror.
I mean, by the time I had him, I had health insurance.
I had the government.
But it was one of those like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Let's go. That's Obamacare actually is what I had after I found out. And so, it was an uncertain time in a lot of ways, but I definitely was also of the belief that babies bring blessings. Like my friend Mel had just had a baby who maybe 3 years before me, and she worked on a film, an indie film. We talking about like a $80,000 movie. Movies are typically $1 million or more, just for those that don't know. Like a really inexpensive indie film, and she worked throughout the last month of her pregnancy on this movie. Oh, wow. That movie ultimately went to Sundance, like had a life. I just remember her going through all of that, and the birth of her child just brought so much positivity. Yeah. And that was what I went into pregnancy with. This is hard. This is challenging. There's going to be things I don't understand. I have to navigate, but it's going to be okay.
Yeah. But I think it's a blessing if you want it to be a blessing. And you know what I mean? Like, I think if you have that mindset, then everything that you do subconsciously creates this blessing. Do you know what I mean? It's how you interpret it. For some people, I don't think they feel that way. And it can manifest this way in their life and how they parent. Yes.
We have to think positively, which can be hard. It's easier said than done.
For sure.
But that's manifestation. That's positive thinking. You know, what you ingest is how you show up.
Yeah. What about you, Melly Mel?
Oh, I was definitely not positive when I found out I was pregnant. I was so terrified. It's interesting because I always knew I wanted to be a mother as well. And then just being in the music industry for, the most of my 20s, like middle to late 20s, experiencing like the peak of my career in that time, I invested a lot of time into like personal self and momentum. And so it felt very foreign to stop all of that to have a baby.
Yeah.
But God said, God said. And it's funny because my brother was the one who actually, I feel like, started this.
Sis needs a tissue.
Oh, okay. Digging my nose this whole time with my fingers, really disgusting. But go ahead.
Okay. Well, you might as well have done it since you outlined it for us.
I definitely, it was my brother who actually kind of, I think, put this thing in my mind where he was like, hey, he's like, do you want to have kids? And I was like, yeah, I want to have kids. And he's like, well, have you taken any precautions and like measures to make sure that happens for yourself? I was like what? And he was just like, well, he goes, I know a lot of young women professionals who do not plan for their personal and family lives.
And this was like a whole 10 years ago.
Oh, I was 32, 31, 32. I was 32. And I'm like, I'm 32. Like, are you calling me old? And he was like, no, I'm just saying, like, you get insurance for your house, you get insurance for your car. He's like, get insurance for your family if that's something that you really want to do. And at this point, my brother had three daughters.
Okay.
And so I had seen his life go that way and the joy of being an auntie and doing all of that. And so, I really didn't even think about planning. And this is something that I think a lot of women now more so are like, oh no, I'm freezing my eggs.
Yes.
Like, I'm ready to go.
Your brother was like ahead of his time.
He really was. He really was. And I remember I came back to Jared and I was like, my brother told me that I should look into freezing my eggs. And I was like, how do you feel about that? He's like, if you want to do that, then like, I'll support it, whatever. Aww. Child, I got pregnant that week.
Your brother is a prophet.
I got pregnant that by a prophet. That would be hilarious if you called him that. He would laugh his ass off. But I did. I got pregnant that week, and I actually found out I was pregnant on my 32nd birthday, and I was so just like terrified. Terrified. Like I knew that this was going to be a blessing, of course, and I just didn't know how it fit into the story of my life. At the time, Jared was living across the country. He was getting ready to move to LA. So we were finally going to be in a not a long distance relationship at the time. And so everything was just happening divine timing. And so I found out I was pregnant. All of the seeds of fear that get planted in women, in entertainment, in business. Oh, it's the death of your career. These old misogynistic patriarchal things. I didn't even want to adapt those things. I didn't even believe in those things, but they subconsciously were planted in me at some point, and I was terrified. I didn't know how I was going to tour. I didn't know what was going to happen. And FYI, I got pregnant and looked pregnant immediately. There was no hiding this baby. From 3 months, I looked like a 6-month pregnant woman. So like, Kim was like, I'm coming. I'm like, there was no, and
He's
I
so tall.
He's
That's
so
why.
tall.
He need a room.
My 9-year-old is literally almost as tall as I am, 5'4". But truly, I just know that what it was setting me up for the lesson of surrender and recognizing that I had to be willing to step into what that next version of myself was. And in retrospect, motherhood, community, conversation, healing have become the pillars of my brand and who I am, even through my music now. So it really forced me and pushed me into a greater purpose of who I was always intended to become. And, without even like spending more time on it to bring it back to this, I ended up getting pregnant again when I always said, no, I'm one and done. I'm cool.
Yeah.
And I got pregnant, Ashley again. I got pregnant at the same time while doing this podcast. And so I think that there's something to really be said about the energy of life and allowing yourself to be a student and to be in receipt of the blessings that you don't even know are blessings. And when I even think about this podcast, how we all came together, it was literally through the bond of motherhood.
Yeah.
And we didn't even know that this thing, we just had met in so many different ways. How are we going to come together until that day, Codie, the pandemic's happening, is like, how's everybody doing this? How are we all coping? And Codie called us up and was like, hey, do y'all want to start a podcast? And we're like, do you want to start a podcast with us? Because if you're just learning, Codie never intended to be a part of this podcast. Nope. She intended to put it together, but God said again.
Well, I have a question I want to rewind really quickly, just because I think part of people wondering about us too is like sometimes we glaze over certain things. And so you were married when you had your first child, but you and I were not. I wanted to ask you, because you were an established being on your own, where like I was not. I was living in New York teaching dance, but I was still like financially struggling for sure. You know what I mean? Living check to check. And I was, you pointed out like you didn't have health insurance. I did not have any health insurance at all. And then she and I were not married. So when I moved back, I barely was able to get prenatal care. Like I had to like beg them to take me because I was 6 months with zero. I had not been to the doctor one time. Like for the whole 6 months, and I was eating bagels every day and rice and beans because that's really all I could afford.
It's good protein.
Yeah, I mean my daughter's really smart though, so I don't know. Might be the diet for champions. But like all of the things that you think when you get pregnant of what you need to do with having prenatal care and having a super healthy diet and all of to have a great pregnancy, I didn't have any of that for 6 months. So when I moved back, shout out to CareSource, I was able to get insurance, through the government because of my lack of income. But for you were a little bit more established than I was, but like, did that play a role into you accepting the situation? And also like, did you have a fear of like, wow, I'm getting pregnant by this man and he's not even my husband and he lives all the way across the country? You know what I mean? Like, how did any of that play a role into you?
Well, I think the story of Jared's and mine relationship of how it came together, I knew this was supposed to be the person I was supposed to have a child with. It was just written, all the signs pointed that he is my person. And so I think the divine timing of everything, of him coming back together, me finding out I was pregnant, all of it, I just was like, okay, I have a partner in this. And actually the first thing I said to him was, I was like, please don't propose to me.
Wow.
Quickly. I was like, do not marry me because we were pregnant. Please. Like we've already said we're committed to doing this thing together. I'm trusting that process. I do not want to be pregnant in my wedding photos, and I do not want to rush into marriage before we were actually.
This is going to bother me, and I hope they edit it out. There's like a little piece of something right here. Okay.
They're not going to be able to edit it out, but it's fine.
Yeah, girl.
Welcome to real life, where you have lint in your hair for an entire episode on camera. It's fine. But I just, again, but like to your point, I had up until that point, because Jared and I had dated for a year. We broke up for 6 months, got back together, and within 6 months I was pregnant. So we hadn't established a life together just as yet. But again, because I had established myself as an independent entity, I felt like I could handle whatever was coming my way. I'm also Canadian, so I could also go back home where there is free healthcare. But I will say this, in the healthcare conversation, it was a whole new world for me finally having to exercise the full benefits of what it means to have healthcare. Like, you know, going to the doctor, I didn't have any medical procedures, surgeries. I never, thank God, needed any of that stuff prior to that other than the random like physical or whatever. So that learning what it costs to have a baby, I just kept thinking, how do people do this without insurance?
Well, girl, it's free for me.
You know?
That's the one thing that's probably Republicans hate. And I don't want us to have, they want to change things because actually the less, like, it's weird. Being middle class is actually the worst place to be sometimes when it comes to benefits because, you know, if you're rich, you can pay for everything. And when you're below a certain poverty line, most of your health care is taken care of. You know what I mean? The thing is just a trap because you have to stay below that poverty line. Do you know what I mean? So there's like no room. You make $1 more and now you're expected to pay these doctor bills and you can't afford that. Do you know what I mean? So I did not have the same experience that I had having healthcare and being married that I did without, because it was actually, for me, a little bit better. They gave me all this stuff. They sent a nurse to my house 2 days later to check on me, to make sure I was breastfeeding. They brought me all this formula just in case I decided I didn't want to breastfeed. Like, it was an amazing experience. Like, everything was paid for and taken care of. And then I made $1 more. It was fighting for my life.
Oh, Lord.
Fighting for my life.
So now we've been doing the podcast for like 3 years. And I think that we've grown a lot. I mean, shoot, y'all had whole babies during this time.
We did. We had mamas did
grew
babies.
a lot, lost a lot, grew again, lost a lot again. Still trying to lose.
We definitely look different than we did on episode 1.
God. Oh my God. I just want to shout out freshly postpartum Ashley and Melanie, who got on camera feeling not great. And we recorded that episode, I remember, at that table. And I just remember looking at my legs underneath the table, the swelling on my legs, the socks. There was no ankles.
Girl, forget the postpartum. While we were 9 months pregnant, we were still recording.
But 9 months pregnant is different. After you have that baby, then you want to feel, I mean, and we did. We showed up, and I remember looking at him, I'm like, I don't have any ankles. That's crazy. But we showed up for that thing. But you know what, though? I think that's a part of it. Like, being able to show women and people and everyone watching the realities of the journey of motherhood.
Yeah.
You are tired. You don't feel your best self. You got to show up. You're still showing up for the cause.
Yeah.
That's why we do this.
Exactly. I mean, I wasn't the one showing up postpartum,
No,
but
you've been looking good since day one.
well,
but
thanks,
go ahead.
sis. Oh,
The girls have become popping.
Right? They have popped.
Over years, they have popped.
But I would say it's also showing up for the village, right?
Yes.
You're showing up for yourself and for this thing that you committed to, but you're also showing up because you're like, there needs to be a realistic picture of like womanhood and postpartumness and motherhood, and we're all here for that.
Yeah.
Like we are who we are. We come from where we come from. Our lives are what they are, but we're showing up to show sort of the diversity of womanhood and motherhood and postpartum and the what is it? They call it the 4th trimester. We're in like the 30th, but still the impact of all of that, the juggle of multiple children. And I'm just so grateful that I'm so grateful that I'm able to come here, and whether it's vent or ask a question or just feel seen by you all and by the community that responds to us online and to our survey. Thank y'all. You know, I'm just so grateful, and I hope we can do it forever.
I want to say one more thing.
Yeah.
I just want to say thank you to you, because I was actually sitting here thinking about this. Nobody hires pregnant people. And like, shout out to Codie, for really seeing us and then being like, yeah, you're pregnant, let's do a podcast. And like, not even knowing if that, you know, there's always the fear that when someone's pregnant, like once they have the baby, they're not going to return. You know what I mean? But you were like, all in, 10 toes down, like, yeah, pregnancy, have those babies. Okay, we're doing we're photo shoot. How did you have that baby yet? Okay, we're gonna schedule a photo shoot 3 weeks later. But like, seriously, and we were there. But like, for us to show up too, I look at it like my marriage, like those things that I did not make sense. Like, why would I have a baby with someone that I've only been with for a month? And like, but there are, to me, things that you do that just don't make sense, but feel so good and organic in the process. Like, it just makes sense. And that's how I feel like I know this was definitely a divine order.
Yeah.
Like, it just flowed and went. And like, logically, why are we doing this in a pandemic pregnant? But here we are, 3 years later.
For me, I want to say that I'm just very grateful that this space gave me a place to use my voice in a different way.
Yeah.
That I know I've always been called to do, and just it gave me an opportunity and a platform to do that with something that I'm extremely passionate about. And so I get to use my voice in different ways, and that's actually my purpose in life, is to use my voice. So I didn't know. I never would have thought a podcast host, like, add that to the resume, but I'm glad I did.
So yes, to the folks out there, we hope that like this helps you feel a little bit seen. Ask us more questions. We want to answer them. Y'all are our village.
And make sure y'all go to Fee's page and send her lots of love and champion her for her new journey in scholastics.
Scholastics.
Medical scholastics. And remember, leave us a rating and review the podcast. So
Only 5 stars. Only positive.
Nothing less for the girls. And if you have questions and thoughts, hit us up at podcasts with an S at blacklove.com or DM us on the Instagram, the Mama's Den Podcast. We be checking out them DMs.
We sure do.
All right. So for more Black love stories and all things motherhood, check us out on blacklove.com as well.
Have a great week.
Toodles.